Hey everyone, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez. I'm coming at you today with the last seat number 16 with my co-host all dolled up from Sharby, and we are interviewing the Solnic coin. Everyone say hello to Dashi. Hello, Dashi. And my friendos, how are y'all doing?
I'm great. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you having us up here.
Always, always.
Doing great, doing great. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I don't so there I made a TikTok yesterday and I just got some notifications today. So there was some like weird statement from like the Department of Justice like last month about like deporting like naturalized citizens, and I was born in Peru, and everyone's like, Chavez, you're gonna get deported, and I was like, well, I became a citizen like 30 years ago, so I feel like it's probably going to be okay, but if I do get deported, remember me. Also, Solnic, I think you're frozen again. Um,
He's frozen for me too.
Yeah, okay. So maybe it is StreamYard wide and it had nothing to do with his NordVPN. Sponsoring this video, by the way. I'm joking. They don't sponsor this. But that would have been a good segue.
I think you're going to be okay. But how's the TikTok? Did you get lots of views? Are you viral?
No, I'm not viral yet.
Okay.
I feel like as a brown, it should have gone viral, right? Because it's from my point of view.
Yes,
but
sure.
It didn't. Proves that TikTok is racist. And my stuff don't go viral. It's off with their heads. Okay, I guess he's gonna come back. We hope.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so I am reading that StreamYard did go through an update that is affecting some whatever server you use to join. Like I'm on Google, but there he is.
Sorry for that. Yeah, I've got a small glitch with my Wi-Fi. I think I've got it fixed now.
USA. Yeah, so I guess we were reading it's like StreamYard, and I don't know if it has anything to do with your Wi-Fi, unless it does. But I guess StreamYard went through an update.
I think mine is a VPN error. I use a VPN quite a bit, and for some reason, I guess I didn't pay my bill, so it was messing with me.
I used a VPN in Kuwait for Pokemon Go when it came out. It came out like on this in like July of 2016, and I was deployed, and I was sad because I couldn't play Pokemon Go, and then everyone's like, just use a VPN, and I had to learn what that was, and then I was like, hey, this is freaking awesome. There was no Pokemon in the desert. I caught a Bulbasaur and Rattata, and that was it.
Did you get downtown at all, like Doha or anywhere, or no, like Kuwait City?
There was I was a different person in 2016. I was all about cosplay, and I was like, I don't deserve to go anywhere until I look like Bane from Batman. And I'm 5'9", so I never looked like Bane so I didn't go anywhere. I punished myself.
Where were you? What part of Kuwait were you in?
Ali Al Salem.
Okay, yeah, I was there too.
Oh, sweet.
I was at Ali Al Salem. I was there it was probably 10 years before you. Okay. And I was stationed at KCIA, the Kuwait City International Airport. That was a real rough deployment. They had us in like a 5-star hotel.
I hate you.
No, it was like, listen, it gets better. So they paid us like $130 a day per diem.
Oh.
And we couldn't spend it. Like we'd go out to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like you leave your laundry on the floor at the hotel and you come back and it's all pressed and clean and put away for you. It was rough.
Damn, serving under Bush must have been amazing because I got $3.50 a day per diem, and we had AC most of the time, but every now and then, especially this one dude Miller, he was trying to dig something like to make an add-on to the smoke pit, and he took the power out for all of Tent City, and I hated him for that. We were in 10th, and it sucked. Like most, like I had a good group of people, so that really helped. How did you get 100? What was it? Just because you were under Bush and just
no? Because we were stationed at the airport, so there was no dining facilities available. So because of the high cost of living there, they have to pay you a per diem comparable to their cost of living. and we had it made. Now, it didn't last the whole time. I was there 6 months, and we got about 3 months of that, and then they had some facilities set up for us, like a fridge with some sandwiches in it. So we had to eat like these shitty cold Subway sandwiches, and they took away our $120 a day. And I'm like, no. But
Ty, it was not smart enough to make the Air Force, so he went Army. So he's a little salty, which I understand.
I understand. Yeah, that's legit.
And anyway, tell us about the Solnic coin and how you got how it came to be.
Well, now it's getting into a long story because we've been at it for 19 months. So January of 2024, a friend of mine named Devin, he goes by Ya Boy Ski on TikTok and YouTube. He's a content creator, more of an educator, I think, in the crypto market. And there were a few projects he liked that kind of gave me hopium. So I started following him, of course, because I'm like, oh yeah, based on his, information, I'm going to be rich with all this stuff. So I got to know him pretty well. We started getting on some calls together, and then another influencer had talked about Solnic, and so I was watching it, and I didn't ape in or anything, and it got rugged like right out of the gate. They sniper bots got him. And then they tried to rebound, and then the dev rugged what was left of it. So I had been watching it, and it crept down from about 60,000 to 40. And then when it finally hit 18,000 market cap, I reached out to Devin and said, hey, let's give this a try. And so we did a community takeover before I even knew what community CTO meant. Like I never heard of it before. This was 18, 19 months ago. And I never was into meme coins at all. So later I found out what we did was called a community takeover. And we had a community. So Devin having a good followership and being a trusted content creator kind of made things a lot easier for us. So we had people jumping in, making memes and just creating content and helping us smash everything. So we went from an $18,000 market cap to about, I think we hit like almost 4 million in about a week. And that lasted anywhere between 4 and 5 minutes. And then it went back down. And then we started the grind. Then we started learning about what it actually takes. Because our initial conversation was, we were seeing all these rugs, and we're like, well, what would happen if they didn't rug? Like no one knew what would happen to a meme coin if it didn't rug, because we didn't have any evidence of what would happen. So we just thought, well, if we just take this over and we don't rug it, it should go to the moon. And we didn't have any idea what we were getting into at the time. But since then, we checked our boxes initially. We got listed on CoinMarketCap. We got listed on CoinGecko. We split our liquidity into 3 chains. So we're available on Avalanche as well as Base. And then just kept grinding. We realized, we needed to raise some capital. So we launched a NFT project called Hedge Funds. And that was, we had a really good artist put together about 1,500 different NFTs for us. And we started selling those, and we raised a good amount of capital for us to work with, to get some things done, run our websites, keep our X account, with the gold check. There it is, the hedge funds. Yeah. So I think we sold maybe 800 now. And kind of put some utility to those. So private access to your boy Ski's account and some of his information. If you hold 2 of those NFTs, you can get on that list and get some insider information on what he's putting out before he does, which, really added to the draw. That's really helped us sell those. And we put all that money back into the project. We've got a few liquidity pools set up right now for the project. Then as the year went on, we ended up getting to about a $10.1 million market cap. We stayed between 9 and 10 million for about a week, and then had some ups and downs since then. I think yesterday we hit about 4 million again for about an hour or so, and now we're about 3.8 or $3.9 million market cap. And yeah, Sharby actually is one of the first communities we got to know. We had an NFT created with Solnic holding up Sharby, emblem, just kind of out of respect because they had us in their hot seat. They were always helping us smash, rating our posts, and just good advisors too. I'm in one of their private groups, and they're just a good group of people at that Sharby team, always available, great tools they're putting out. So that was definitely helped us out, I think, just having another team that could give us advice and help us learn as we go.
It feels like 5 years ago, but yes.
It was. It seems, I know.
The crypto space, the psychology of crypto and Web3, I tell you, I was thinking the other day, I was in DMs with a friend, and I'm like, there's going to be a great book one day on the psychology of crypto, and just the time. Like, yes, we had them on the hot seat and such, just like, these are the builders that keep me motivated, the projects, right? That the innovation, pivoting. So yeah, I was really excited when Randy told me last night we were going to have you on today. So, okay, keep going. I interrupted.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. So as time, yeah. Oh, I meant to say too, along the lines of what you said, I was on a space yesterday, and they said the crypto space we don't measure our life in years. We measure it in cycles, and how many bull cycles we've been through. It's like, if you've been through 3, you're the grandfather of the group at that point. So. Yeah, that ages us for sure. Then, so we started to realize, okay, we need to figure. Now we've got 3,000 holders. We've proven ourselves to be a legit token, and we're not going anywhere. So now what do we do? And so basically we, understanding the tokenomics. It's a fixed tokenomic, which is very simple. There's no tax on the token. But we decided we wanted to take the route of, with Devin, your boy Ski being an educator, basically, he doesn't like to call himself an influencer because he really doesn't push any projects other than Solnic now that we do that, but he doesn't get paid to advertise for anyone. He just talks about charts and talks about, when you should take profits, and really tries to keep people in the space and making profit as best he can. So along the lines of education, we wanted to kind of keep pushing Solnic in that direction. And he's really passionate about the fundamentals of Bitcoin and why it exists in the first place. So we're going down this path of be your own bank, which is basically, we coined this. I don't know if we coined it, but we say, it's great to work for your bags, but at some point your bags have to start working for you. And there's a lot of people that think the tools that these billionaires use to create more wealth are out of reach because we don't have billions of dollars to use to our advantage. Well, maybe it's, we won't be able to make billions, but we would be able to teach people how to use their assets to work for them, borrow against their assets. The example he uses is, Elon Musk didn't pay any money to buy Twitter. He borrowed against the assets that he already had to create something else to generate more wealth. And we want to not only teach people, but also build some tools to where they can see that and use that for themselves as they learn about finances and learn about wealth creation. So we checked all our boxes on our 2024 roadmap, and now we're well underway with our 2025 roadmap. A few of the biggest milestones are the dApps that we're creating. We've got one dApp that is live now, and that's a simple staking dApp for the Solnic token. You can earn up to 30% by staking your Solnic tokens. Locking them up for 2 years earns you 30%. Locking them up for a year gets you 15%, and then it's graduated down from there. You can go as little as 90 days if you want to lock them up. And there's a slashing penalty if they withdraw early, but that's kind of the purpose behind the tool, is to help lock up some of those tokens, keep the chart more stable, get people invested in it, and keep them around. Then we've got a couple other dApps that we're working on. One will be liquidity farming, liquidity mining, where people can take like Sharby, for instance, and pair it with Solnic and create liquidity pools, or any other. Yeah, it's really complicated. It is until you get it, and then once you get it, it's not as complicated anymore.
So there's I mean, what he says, I guess, has some merit. A lot of people don't get into finance because it's very daunting. Like the broad spectrum of finance is insane, and I think people don't realize that most people in finance actually just specialize in a couple of things. So in the big beautiful bill that Trump signed the other day, every child that's born will now get $1,000 S&P 500 starter account at birth, and if you average the S&P, I think it's like anywhere between 9 to 11%. So if you average it by just 10% per year, by the time they retire at 65, that's $490,000, give or take. And I feel like the reason they did that is because they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to know anything about finance. Just that compound interest will give them almost $500,000 by the time they're 65. But if someone were to come to you guys and be like, hey, whether they got a windfall, whether they inherited something, whether they got lucky on a meme coin, be like, I don't want to gamble anymore. I want to have my money work for me in a way. Like, do you guys provide consultants? You guys?
No, we're not in a position where we provide any financial advice. However, we do provide sound education and information on how not to be ridiculously stupid with your money. We don't want people losing their money. I mean, but we're not going to tell someone, hey, you should put this amount of your windfall into Solnic and this amount into gold and this amount into, the S&P 500. But we might say, here's what we do with our money and here's what we do with what we've done. And, and sort of backhand that information.
Okay. If you were to, so $1,000 for anyone in this space is probably pretty low. So if you were to get, let's say, 100K, like, do you have videos on there that'll say like, hey, here's if you want to be like super safe and it's just like Bitcoin and ETH. Here's if you want to be like a little more risky and you do like the top 20 or top 30 tokens. And here's if you want high risk and here's a microcap altcoins. How do you guys?
No, so Devin teaches more about the cycle of the chart. He follows the Wyckoff cycle to the T. He's a firm believer in that, even with a meme coin. As short-lived as it can be, you can still see, the accumulation period, the distribution period, the upthrust, the sign of strength, and then as it grows, and just follow that and sort of coaches people on when it's a good time to buy, when it's a good time to hold, and when it's a good time to take profits. And he gets pretty exact with actual tokens. Like he'll look at Bitcoin and say, here's where I'll be taking profits. He took, like with XRP, I think it was $3.33. He sold a chunk of his XRP and bought a little farm with it up in Kentucky. And he was very, very transparent about it. And he said, I've been talking about $3.33 since it was at 15 cents. And just sort of coaches them along those lines versus like asset allocation.
Okay. And I guess that's the other thing. A lot of people in crypto, maybe they have like a couple of Mag 7 stocks, but I don't know if any of them do really like commodities like gold and silver. How do you feel about those types of things?
I own both. I own both gold and silver. The actual metal itself, I don't own like a fund or anything like that. I've got a safe and I've got gold coins and silver coins. So Devin's very regimented about how his DCA works. I'm a little different. Mine goes in at convenient times or when I feel like I've got some extra money to throw at it. I own a little bit of real estate as well. Things that they're not going to make any more of. They're not, you can't, at this point, we don't have a way to create more gold. And that's why it's very similar to Bitcoin. We're limited to how much people can mine, and that makes it available, which also makes it scarce. And same with Bitcoin. So things that they can't make more of are things that I believe are always going to hold value and increase in value over time.
You had we had a talk a couple months ago where you got a little bit of Definity and a little bit of DEVVE. Do you still hold those? Are you a long-term holder?
Oh yeah. I'm not going to trade that. I mean, if I were to trade something, it'd have to be a drastic swing. to the upside. If, usually when I buy, I either hold it till it's dust or hold it, until it's significantly, I'm not a 100x guy. I'm a 3 to 4x kind of guy. If I see something's up 200 or 300%, I'm going to make sure I'm securing my bag. I think 100x, anybody, like people talk about the next 1000x. I'm like, who's got the cojones to hold it when it's at 900x and they're just like, nope, this is 1000x. I'm not selling. Like this, it's just nuts to me. Like I can't imagine holding a bag to 1000x. I've seen too many. I round trip the last cycle, so that's probably got a lot to do with my mentality this time around.
Same, but there's a couple of things like like for DEVVE where they do hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, and they have like a $5 million market cap, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not that I'm going to hold to 1000x, even though I think they could do that. I would definitely start to take profits like 30-ish x. When they reach like 90 cents, I'll take a little bit. Then when they reach a couple dollars, I'll take a bit, because that'd be that 100x. And then I'd probably take out like maybe 70-80%, then let the rest ride for that other 10x on top of that.
Yeah, and that's what Ski says. He says he always saves 20% for the parabolic, unbelievable movement, no matter what he's holding. He always holds 20% of his initial bag for that lucky home run shot that you can get on some of these tokens.
Yeah, they have the roadmap for DEVVE that's coming out this week. So it'll give say, hey, here's when we're announcing certain things. Here's where certain things to be launched. Tell us about Solnic's roadmap. Tell us about the exciting things that you have coming in the pipeline.
Well, the biggest three were the dApps that we're creating. We've got a few other smaller ones that we're going out. I wish I had the roadmap up. We haven't really touched on it in a couple months. We kind of published it and then we started working on it. So we do have some full stack developers working on our projects right now. You might as well add 200% to whatever the timeline is that they give you. And it's been frustrating, but getting that first dApp released was a big relief for me and Devin both. We've got about 4% maybe close to 5% of the supply locked up now with the Solnic staking, and none of that's from the foundation. We haven't put any from the foundation in there yet, and so that'll probably add another 2% to the locked up supply. I say it's live, but we still haven't been whitelisted with Solana and Phantom or Solana yet. So we still get some warnings when you try to stake it, and our trusted team or community members that know us, they know we're not trying to scam anybody. They trust that it's safe, but it's completely understandable that when you get a big warning across your screen, that we wouldn't expect a lot of people to dive into that. So we're working on that as quickly as possible, but that also takes some time too.
Yeah, I got that with I get it every time. I feel like after you buy something a couple of times, Coinbase Wallet or Phantom should be like, it's fine. Yeah. Have you heard of Ladies?
I have not.
They have they're 501c3. They have this some like big land thing that they're buying. So there'd be like a sanctuary for animals, which I love. And the one girl Pixie that runs it has she was on here like a couple months ago. She had like some weird sickness and surgery, and she was like in the hospital for a couple months. So the market cap was like $10,000. So I was like, let me get a little bit of this, and I have like 7% of the supply now. It's at like 20,000, and part of that sanctuary, like I feel like one of those things that even if it just goes to like $1 million, which I think this one girl, Kimber, when it does reach $1 million mark, she launches her OnlyFans, and I was like, cool. So that's fun. But I feel like having that much of the supply, you could, as you'd say, like do staking. You could make another liquidity pool. Like if somebody gets a certain amount of Solnic, can they add to the liquidity pool and make money on the trades?
Yeah, absolutely. Radium allows you to do that now. Like that, I could do it. You can do that with any token on Solana. I mean, any any chain. Actually, you can create a liquidity pool, add as much liquidity as you want. Radium's the one I'm most comfortable with. You can do concentrated liquidity pools. So say you've got like your 7% of ladies, you can put like all 7% of that in. Say it's worth, what, $3,000-$4,000.
I don't even think. It's not, because it's like
Okay.
20,000 now, so it's like 1,500 maybe.
All right, so you can put $1,500 worth of a token in, and then only match it with, say, a quarter of a Solana, and have it
really?
concentrated on one side of the liquidity pool. So then essentially you've got a liquidity pool set up where, and this is really, really valuable to people that are heavy on their bags but don't want to hurt their chart. Essentially, people, as they go in and buy Phantom or whatever decentralized exchange you're going to use, is going to choose the lowest price token that they can get it for. And so eventually the pool that you have is going to be the lowest price token. So they're going to buy it out of your pool. You'll get Solana in exchange for that, but there won't be any sells on the chart.
Yeah.
And then as your price goes up, and it's even with the other pools, whatever pool has the cheapest price, it's going to sell from, or it's going to buy it from, and whatever pool has the highest prices, when you sell it, it's going to come out of that pool. Phantom just kind of regulates which pool, because you don't get to choose which pool you buy from unless you're on Meteora. Then you can pick a specific pool.
Okay. Yeah, because there's 2 liquidity pools for ladies right now, and I don't think it doesn't let me do it. But which is fine. Like, they're still both like super low, so it's not a huge deal for me. I'm trying to think, like, there is a 10% tax on it, where 5% or half of the 10% goes to the holders, and the other half a percent goes to their charity, which I thought was cool. Do you guys have a tax on Solnic?
No, we're a zero tax token. Buy, sell, transfer is zero taxes. And we might have done it differently, but tax tokens, it's a double-edged sword maybe, or I guess there's advantages and disadvantages of that. Especially 10% I think that's a big tax, and you've really got to be a believer in not only their project, but also the foundation that they're giving that money to. Because you're losing 20% on that.
Yeah.
Because you buy it, you lose 10%, and you sell it, you lose 10%. That's a big cut. And so you've really got to be a believer. And I think as market cap gets higher, I was in a project last, I guess August of 23. It was actually a politified token, and they had a tax. And one of the influencers that I kind of been following for years was involved in it as well. And he said, once the project gets up, between 20 and $30 million, the size of the buys, that tax is going to really show an impact on the size. When you start getting into the bigger $20,000 buys, and you're losing that chunk. So we were trying to have the board vote on, do we want to eliminate this tax or not? But I think if the community is a believer in it and they can see where that is going, so some of it's coming back to them. So it kind of puts you in a position where you have to be a long-term holder to make up for it. And if you're a whale holding 7%, that you're going to see some of that return quicker than someone holding a smaller bag. But yeah, and then if you believe in the nonprofit that they're giving to, it takes some of the edge off of that bite a little bit, I think, and makes you a little proud to hold that bag and support that community.
Yeah. But if it made 20 to 30 million market cap, I'd probably, well, I don't know if burning it would do much good, but I would sell, let's say, like 10% of my 7%, and I don't know, like half would go to the charity, and then half would be mine. So this way, I feel like I can unload without people being like, "Grr."
Sure.
So you were mentioning before how easy it is to make liquidity pools. All Dolled Up has they had just had an announcement on SHIRO yesterday talking about that. All Dolled Up, can you speak on that a little bit? I don't know if she's there.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You know what, Randy? I am not like 100 on the announcement from yesterday or you on the spaces. I know they made a big announcement about Solana with SHIRO. But I want to speak to that really quickly in that the project's kind of what Devin's doing, right, is always looking at ways to add value to the token and to the project itself and for the holders. And with SHIRO and the liquidity pools they're creating, they're going over to Solana. I think what is so great with SHIRO is that they're not adding more token, right? So that scarcity we talk about and the burns that they've been doing is that they're taking some of that supply they already have in order to move to Solana, which I think will be so beneficial for the project. And Sharby also did that, right? When we launched, we didn't create more tokens or a new pool. We shared.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't have enough SHIRO. Hopefully, I'll get some later this. Hopefully, I'll get some later this month. But there's somebody that I think you probably know, Grumpy, that has a bunch of SHIRO. And I was like, oh, maybe we could do this. So I was like, oh, yeah, maybe we could. So for Solnic, when you have a bunch of it, what is the best? How much can you stake of the token? Is there a limit?
No, right now it's unlimited.
Is that a little dangerous?
It could be, but we've been through so many ups and downs. Our distribution is pretty good that we don't have someone holding 20% or 7% of the supply. Myself and Devin combined for I think less than 5% of the supply. Our wallets are completely doxed as well, so people know where our wallets are and they can see that we're not selling. But we haven't run that. We don't feel that there's a risk for that because of the way the distribution right now. And we can back it. And essentially, what's the worst case? We have to buy more to support that payout for those tokens. That's a good thing.
Buy pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So
let's ask a little bit about you, one of the guys behind it. How did you get to have to be I assume a 1%er, someone that would be invited to the ball and the gala, and are able to support the chart with any buys that, or not even just support the chart, support the payouts? Like, oh yeah, if we need to, yeah, we could just buy more. Yeah.
Well, we obviously started. We got in at $18,000 market cap. And we've also had a great community with some generous whales in our group that help us, if we want to run a promotion or drop a couple Solana on a volume bot, which is a waste of money in my opinion for the most part. Some of them, like timing on that and is very important, but overall, we'd run a volume bot trying to get listed on CoinGecko, and it's like, no, It needs to be organic. And so, but as far as how I got here, like I said, I round tripped a lot of my holdings. I made some really good choices at the bottom of the bear market, when Bitcoin was at 15,000 and Solana was at $9. I took a little loan out, actually. Yeah, I took a loan out when Solana hit $9. And I tried to tell my friends, I said, Solana's not going anywhere. I said, and my whole justification was that 3 to 5 minutes when you're waiting on an Ethereum transaction to clear is a stressful 3 to 5 minutes. And it's silly because it's 3 to 5 minutes. If you want to wire money or send money through a bank, you're waiting days. But for some reason, you just trust that process. But with Ethereum, you wait and you're like, oh man, did I do that right? But with Solana being instantaneous, that's what sold me. I'm like, it's just better. And of course, that also invited all the derelicts and degens into the space, but it is what it is. But yeah, when I just knew Solana wasn't going to go anywhere. It was just, it was all that Sam Bankman-Fried stuff and FTX collapse. It was just I don't even know if it was a black swan. It was just one storm after another, everything compounding. But yeah, and so really, being a believer in Solana, you just kind of gravitate towards that space. You start getting exposed to more of that kind of stuff on your algorithm, and then it's just kind of feeds it to you from there.
Yeah, waiting for like big ETH transfers is like 20 years ago, and you're like 15 and waiting on that pregnancy test. Be like, oh god, it's the longest 10 minutes of your life.
Very true.
Yeah, that's why I really like DEVVE, because they have that, what's that called, the patents for the instant transaction sets, where it just everything goes like instantly, and stuff settles right away. You don't have to wait. Like that's going to disrupt everything. And I'm stacking hard. So speaking of stacking, you have how long do you think you could keep this going for? How long do you suspect to be in Solnic? Is like, does it get more fun as you as the market cap goes up, or is that something where it gets a little more stressful, and at some point you're just like, I'm just gonna hand the keys over? And
oh no, so Devin prides himself on his reputation and his community, and he's vowed, this is a 20-year play. This is not it's funny, when we first started, he's like, hey, this isn't a get rich quick thing. This is going to be a year to 18 months. And then as we got into a year, we're like, yeah, it's not going to be a year to 18 months. So he's well documented saying he's in this for the next 20 years with Solnic. As long as he's around, he's going to be engineering and developing and building for Solnic.
Sweet. You mentioned before the buy bots. I've had experience with that with Base, and it's really finicky. We're anywhere from like $300 to $800 for a couple 100,000 in volume, or several 100,000 depending on it. Is that similar for Solana, the buy bots?
No, I think it's all the same transaction fee. It's a fraction of a Solana, so, and that just for it, I don't know if you're familiar with like a sandwich bot that comes in, so you put in a transaction, someone else front runs it by paying a higher Solana fee, and they can front run your transaction so that you're buying it higher, and then they immediately turn around and sell it, and they can skim profits that way. But yeah, the fees don't fluctuate with Solana.
Oh, I meant like with the buy bots, I meant like to have like the volume bots.
Volume bots.
Yeah.
No, it just depends on who's operating it. They have to pay all the transaction fee, or the transaction fees are going to come out regardless, and then whoever set up the platform, whatever they charge is the variable in there. But there's a lot of them that are pretty inexpensive to operate. I just have never seen a whole lot of value. Sometimes it's good, so we have a partnership with Mario Nafal. And yeah, so we have 3 roundtable spaces with his team. We've done 2 of them. We've got another one coming up in about 2 weeks. And what we'll do then is we'll run a buy bot or a volume bot up to the live stream, so that it doesn't. You can't see that the buy bot is running, but you can see the previous volume on it, just to give it a look of that there's more volume going on and more transactions happening. So, but I've yet to see where that really is paid off. But it's good. The community likes to see it, especially in the Telegram, where you got all these transactions coming through and these big buys, because they don't have a sell bot on the Telegram. They just have the buy bot, where you can see the buys. You can't see the thing.
I've seen that before too. Did you order pizza?
Yeah, I've got an inspector coming to my house. Can I get 2 minutes?
Yeah. Go.
Sorry about that. I've completely blanked on that.
We carry the show. Inspector Gadget.
His at least is quieter than mine, because when anyone's at our door, then our 2 labs, like the barking, this just takes the doorbell going off, and then they're at the door. So even if I don't hear the doorbell, I hear our dogs. I'm like, someone's at the door.
Oh.
So interesting. I love just on what I'm hearing. Those long-term meme coins, it's like, I think if you have that innovative long-term mindset as a whole to investors, or as the Web3 grows, that those are the projects that people look for, right? I know they've been grinding the last gosh, I remember having him on the Sharby hot seat when we used to do that. But it's just so cool to see. And I think sometimes it can get, like at Sharby right now, when you're working so hard behind the scenes, and it gets quiet, it can create that like, oh, like what are they doing? But I feel like Solnic has kept this momentum, that I'm it's really awesome to see, I guess. Like they're just there. Hello, daCAT in the house. And so kudos to the team for that, because they are just, I see them all the time, right? Like even in those quiet moments. So kudos to them. It's a great project, great team.
So tell us, I feel like we don't hear too much about Sharby. Tell us about what's going on there.
So currently, since September, we've been building out our platform, Sharby.fun. And, with those things, when you start building a platform, you think, oh, in my mind, December we'll be ready. No, that's just not how it works. So we finally submitted for audit. And there were a few commits that weren't reviewed. And so we did have to go back and get some further commits reviewed. And that's okay. And I've learned recently what that means. And it just means that like you go to a stopping point in GitHub with code, and then you went in and you made some changes. Because with our dev team, what we would do is, we work so closely with them, and we have so many things built into it. Features and just the rewards and the airdrops and things, right? It's not kind of just having a contract audited, right? That would be easy peasy. This is on top of the audit, they're doing testing of the platform, right? And so it just takes longer than you want, but that's okay. We've kind of hit this, very solid point in Sharby, and to where there was kind of like a lot of swing trading going on for a while, and that's kind of gone off until we just have built this really solid floor. And when it's time, I know what we'll do is just we will ramp up that marketing side when it's needed, because Sharby is all funded from our DAO, right? We never had a marketing wallet or funds sitting for development and initiatives that we've done. And so we're just mindful of the spend, and right, everything costs money. It takes money to make money. So when we're ready, and when we know we're ready to launch this phenomenal platform that we really think will set itself apart from the other ones. There's some great platforms that have come out that are just awesome, but we've added in just features to where it's user friendly in that it focuses on the user, right? And not just the dev that's going to maybe go launch a token on Sharby.fun, the person that uses it. And we want that user experience to be really set apart from other platforms, because those are going to also be our people marketing the platform, right? So if you go in and you use Sharby.fun as a user, and it's awesome and it's user friendly and you're earning drops daily, and you get to go in and claim rewards daily if you refer people, and you can go in and get that bread daily and see what you're making and have this platform, that those people using the platform are going to be our marketers as well, right? Because you're going to go and tell people like, I used Sharby's platform and holy crap, like it's awesome. And it has all these features built into it. And so we were very mindful and nitpicky and strategic on all these awesome things we've implemented. And, this is just V1. And so in the background, we have already ideas and things that we will build in for V2 and V3 of the platform, but we've taken our time with it and it's been quiet. And I've gotten to the point that I'm okay with that, right? When you were gone, Solnic, I was just talking about how you guys are relentless and just being present all the time, and how I feel at Sharby it's been quiet. But The grind.
Oh, thank you. It's,
grind is real.
We're going through that too. Our community was absolute diehards the first 6 months, and now it's like we can't get a post to get 10 likes on it anymore. So they're still there. They're just it's not. I understand completely what you're saying. It's the community just kind of, the hype dies off, and I don't think that they're losing faith in the project. They just don't quite have the energy, and it frustrates me. It's like, hey guys, spend 15 minutes a day doing what's free.
Yeah.
Like a post, make a comment, retweet, tag some people. Literally, if everybody just spent 10 to 15 minutes a day, then the amount of numbers that would change as far as exposure, I think, would just be astronomical.
And that's the golden egg, if someone can figure out how to do that. And I think you can look at it in two perspectives. As one, like I was joking a few weeks ago, Randy and Sharby, I feel like we're a stable coin. We're so stable in those investors we've had a long term, right? And they know, because they might be in like a certain Telegram group that we have where it's like, okay, well, I know they're doing stuff and it's moving and they're working on it. And sometimes things take longer than expected. That's great. But in that main chat, right, it's like you can't share all that stuff that you share in the private group. And so it's like, how do you convey like, okay, let's raid this or let's hit this? And it's like, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing? But you don't want to set dates, and so you just have to navigate the space in that way. And like I said, when we are solid in that, okay, in the next week or two, like we will be ready, then we ramp it up, right? And we can spend funds or spend human capital, because it all takes energy and time out of people to ramp up that exposure and that marketing and jump on all the spaces and do all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's, in the very beginning, I thought, well, we have to post an update every day, or we have to tell the main chat something every day. And I would just be like, I don't want them to lose that faith. But after 2.5 years, or like with Solnic, right, we're kind of the grandfathers now, right? Like these projects, I was on a space the other day real quickly, and an influencer that we worked so hard, we tried to connect with, right? Like we would reach out to him, we DM him, and this was in the very beginning of Sharby, and like we just wanted him to like share or tweet about us or whatever. But I'm on a spaces last week, and he shouts us out, and he's like, I've seen that project for 2 years. He starts talking about Sharby, and I'm like, oh, and Hero and I were laughing at home. We were like, we tried so hard. But guess what? He knows about us. He does. And he's seen us for 2 years, grinding, working, adding value to the space, to communities, the networking. And we're still here building. And just like Solnic, Sharby isn't going anywhere.
Oh, I remember when we first started, and I heard about Sharby, and I think you guys had been around a year at that point, and I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my God, a year. And I've been at it like 2 weeks, and my hair is falling out already. I've been doing this a year.
Yeah.
I'll never make it a year.
The flip side of some of our really strong investors and believers and community that make up Sharby or make up Solnic is that we need those holders too. And yes, I could go into our BBC and be like, can everyone please rate this damn post? Like, okay, but at the same time, you need those holders too, because they have conviction. They believe in us. They believe in the team. They believe in what Sharby's building or what Solnic's building. And they're not on X, right? They're not on X sharing all those posts and commenting, but they sure do believe in the team and what's being done. So yeah, it's just like you have to look at it. I look at it from different perspectives now and try not to lose as much sleep. But we're just here, and like these are great, strong projects that aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, I agree.
Preach. daCAT to the moon.
daCAT to the moon. Same with daCAT. Yeah, you guys are in that box too. Check.
We have a ton of people that are in the comic, and I guess I want to ask Solnic about that as well. How did you get connected with the Solana Wolfpack, who will be in the they'll be in the daCAT universe later this year? How'd you get connected with them?
So that's kind of a long story. They've been through a lot. So originally Saitama, from the previous cycle, was a big scam and scandal, and a lot of people made money, and a lot of people, no, I shouldn't say a lot of people. A few people made a lot of money, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And so it was really a contentious ticker, contentious name. So they tried to kind of not rebrand, but rebuild it. And they started as a token called One Punch Man, Saitama. Then just through tribulation and attrition, basically, the teams kind of got washed out with a bunch of big buys and big sells and just lost faith. And then Tom Toronto, who's the lead now, that's, I'm sure you've heard, you don't bet on the horse, you bet on the jockey. And so I'm a big fan of Tom Toronto because of his willingness to show up every day, his transparency with the project. So SWP, they rebranded it to Solana Wolfpack instead of Saitama Wolfpack, but I kind of like the essence of still having Saitama in there, get that energy from there, and maybe some vengeance trades going on, people buying but having him. So I was on a voice call or VC with the team in Telegram, and I noticed his phone number started with the same 3 digits as my phone number. And so it turns out we lived in the same town. I don't live there now, but I lived in the same town in Florida that he lives in for 15 years. And so I called him up just to talk about it. And we actually had a lot of the same friends in common because, living there for 15 years, it wasn't a very big area, and he's in real estate. So it's his job to know people. So we had a lot of the same friends, in common in that area. And so that just made me trust him a little bit more, knowing the backstory of someone and knowing, where they're at and they're doxed essentially. Just brings some validity and credibility to the person. And so when you reached out to me, I liked the idea, but it just immediately made me think of SWP because of their storyline and what they had already been doing with animations. The VeVe comics seemed to really fit that mold, for what they were looking for and the type of exposure they needed. So I was really excited to kind of facilitate that and help make that happen. Then as I was on a call with Tom, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, talking about the comic, and then I was razzing you on that post yesterday on X because I started thinking, if we could come up, my biggest thing is creativity with a storyline. Like I would love to see something like that, but then I got to worry about, IP and copyrights with Solnic. Yeah. I can't boost any posts on X because as soon as I boost it, all these people just attack me, like tag Sega, they tag Disney, they tag, whoever they can, just like, can we shut this down? I'm just like, so we got to kind of stay low key because we're fairly confident from a couple legal reviews that we've had that we're not infringing on anything, but at the same time, we don't want to poke the bear. It just takes a postage stamp to create turmoil that we don't want to deal with. So we definitely want to stay within our bounds, but at the same time, we want exposure and we want to build it, as best we can.
That was, I was trying to think of how do I make this comic without will VeVe accept it? This is especially because Sega is they're not anti Web3. They're just very scared of it. And it doesn't seem to make sense because you have all these companies that are buying Bitcoin, all these companies that are making metaverses and stuff. But there's still a large percentage of corporations out there that just don't understand Web3. And so
I think it's more along the lines of they want to have their own blockchain. They want to have their own ecosystem of Web3. And so they don't want to bring on Polygon as a partner or bring on, they want to create their own. And, just like Apple, for the longest time, you couldn't get a good Web3 app on Apple because they want to have their own token. Eventually, they want to be their own creator. In my opinion, I could be way off on this. They might be afraid of it, but I think they're smart enough and they're in the digital world enough that they can see what's coming down the pipe.
When they took 30% of everyone's revenue from the iOS store, for any NFT product, that like I hate Apple for that. Like that is horrible. That was what's that called? Monopolistic. Taking out the competition. Like how is anyone supposed to survive when 30% of their revenue has to go to Apple for
Right.
NFT sales? That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I own a couple NFTs from that are on Polygon that just sit on my wallet. I can't even. I don't think I can even transfer them. I don't know, but I can't sell them or list them. But they're just sitting there. I think I have to get them back to. Oh, what's the big one? The
OpenSea?
No, maybe it's OpenSea. Yeah, but anyway, it's just that's frustrating being on the iPhone.
Yeah. For VeVe, they had put out, or they'd let everyone know at Non-Fungible conference over in Portugal that they are working on interoperability. So obviously, right now you have them on the VeVe app, and you used to be able to have your OMI tokens on the VeVe app. They're on Stacker now as a third party. So if they get interoperability, I think that'll be really cool. I think that's kind of the essence of Web3. A lot of people kind of won't go in because they don't have interoperability. But then I don't know. It's weird to me that some people like fade these like 100-year-old companies because they can't put their NFTs in a MetaMask. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? How important is interoperability for certain
I think it's
companies?
vital. Personally, I think it's really important. I mean, do you really own it? If you can't do what you want with it, and that's the whole design behind decentralization. It's really kind of a forced centralization that goes against the whole essence of you know blockchain, in my opinion.
It's hard because I mean, there's certain companies that will be like, yeah, sure, no problem, and then there's certain companies that are like, nah, I don't understand because you want to. I think part of the reason is that OpenSea had never enforced the royalty fee, and a lot of these companies like, hey, what's the point of doing this if we're not going to make money on it? I think now they are. Um, when they went from like a $15 billion company to like a $1.5 billion company, like, okay, we have to start playing this game. So hopefully it'll get easier for people to do that. That does get hard for people outside of Web3 though. Like, what's a MetaMask? What's this? And what's seed phrases? Um, I feel like that bridge between Web 2 and Web 3 is not complete yet.
Yeah, Solnic is working with a company called On-Chain Labs. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I'm not. I don't think.
So On-Chain Labs is going to be a direct fiat to token platform. Instantaneous, 90 different forms of payment, 3 clicks. So all you need is a Google account. And when you set up your on-chain account, it creates a wallet for you. The wallet is multi-token, like a multi-chain wallet. And so you will use a debit card to make a purchase of Solnic tokens. It will go directly to your Google account wallet that they create, and then they're yours to transfer to a cold wallet or a DEX or a hot wallet, wherever you want to transfer them to. But we really think that's going to be crucial in onboarding over the next. They're in the final beta testing phases for the Solana tokens now. They've already released, I think, Ethereum and Base. So it's available, but just not for Solana. So, when we can have a QR code or a link where they click it and it takes you right to where you can buy it with a debit card, trying to explain to someone that's not in the space, it is tough, and they lose interest quick trying to tell them how to get money to Coinbase, to buy, get your money, turn your fiat into USDC or USDT or to the token that you want, and then send it to a DEX, and then find the token and make sure you got the right contract address. You lose them so quick in that conversation that we're really hoping this on-chain labs will be an easy transition, and highly recommend anyone that's got a project with $50,000 in locked liquidity. You can get on with on-chain labs, and they will list your project to be purchased like that.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
The list
I can do that.
the list is growing, I think, but I still don't think that they're full. They want as many accounts as possible, so they've got to deal with MasterCard, and I don't know the details of it. But as soon as they get 250,000 accounts, then MasterCard is going to support them,
Okay.
and they're excited about that.
Do the if you could connect me, that'd be great, because daCAT
Sure.
has I think $250,000.
Yeah,
In
I
liquidity.
got Tom with SWP set up with them. I've gotten quite a few referrals to them. I don't get anything for the referrals, so but
Oh, you're not
I
getting anything for
just
that?
no,
That sucks.
I wish I did, but
Maybe we should have him on next week, Randy. We can reach out.
Yeah, if they,
Or the
yeah,
week
I
after.
think we have someone next week, but we could do,
Okay, the week after.
yeah, we
But
could do the
that's a good
21st.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. His
that'd be
name's
great.
Ben Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
Great guy. He'll be happy to come on and talk and give you a live demo of it and explain it. And so we to have this service, you have to pay $200 a month. But you don't pay while you're on the list. You don't start paying
Yeah.
until it's live. So
Okay.
they're not trying to launch a token. They're simply wanting to be a platform, and they really, and I agree with them. They're really going to be a threat to centralized exchanges,
Okay.
because you lose that demand for a centralized exchange with some of the tokens that you want to get. You can just
Yeah.
avoid those middle steps, which can be a pain with extra fees and transactions. So I think they're going to do well. I'm happy that we're going to be using them.
Cool. I can't wait. Yeah, we'll get the cat on. We'll get a bunch on. We've kept you here for an hour. Let's talk a little bit off camera, but before we do, all dolled up. You got anything?
I don't, but thank you for coming. I enjoyed having you, and great show today.
Yeah. So anything else you wanted to go over that we missed?
No, I think I talked about, so on, let's see, I just want to say if we could get some viewers out for our next Mario in the Fall roundtable spaces. It's going to be July 18th at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
I'm going to put that in the calendar, 3 p.m., Solnic, Mario, not Maria, Mario. And is it pronounced the fall? I've been calling him Mario Nawful.
I say the Fall. I don't know. They've never corrected me.
We know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
All
They're
right,
a great
cool.
group. They're real nice to work with, and just when they have us on, it's an hour-long segment, and we get about anywhere between 10 and 15 minutes to really talk about Solnic, which is enough time, because they want to keep the viewers interested. So they talk about current events in Web3 and current events on the blockchain, and then kind of figure out a way to roll our token into their space. And it's worked out pretty well for the first two, so we're excited for that third one.
So be advised, guys, in the last 20 minutes, the U.S. government has transferred $219,000 worth of Ethereum to Coinbase, which is not a lot. That is, compared to what they have, that is nothing. But Ash Crypto Real is crashing out on X as per usual, where it's just like, I'm over that shit. Yeah, because anytime Trump puts out like the more tariffs on Japan and
Did Randy freeze on us now?
Yeah, he froze up on my side too. But
Trump.
hey, Sharpie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love working with your community, or just being friends with you guys. From the start, it's always been a pleasure working with you guys. I know I've been in some of the telegrams asking questions and getting advice from your team, and have for the projects that you run and the tools that you have available, the support that you give for those is just unbelievably good, and it's appreciated at many levels.
Definitely. And I think that through time, neither of us would know what we know now unless we had to put in the time to get to where we're at. And I think that the networking side and the community side is so important, just like the relationship with Ben, right? And on chain, that is going to be monumental for us in Web3. The relationship with Tom, and then connect, and that's how I met Randy, right? You build sustainable relationships, and you can weed out the bad ones. We know after you put in the time, you're just able to decipher. People have asked me what flags do you look for? It's I met Randy by happenstance, and we connected through daCAT and all the amazing things daCAT's doing, right? And then it just grew, and then we said, why don't we come together and do a show? Because I was doing the hot seat solo, and all of us know the work everything takes in the background. And it's like, so now Randy and I are able to take his community, his friends, his connections, and take Sharvy's, and then we just melded those together, and I've just enjoyed the last seat. I loved the hot seat as well, but I like the last seat, and so, but yeah, it's just like it's like this ever evolving thing, and Solnic is just definitely one of those staple projects and communities, and you yourself have just adding value and building great friendships.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Curious, is Solnic going to go to Blockchain Futurist in Miami this year?
I wish I could.
Okay.
I love Florida. I lived in Florida for 15 years, and
Okay.
I was about 2 hours north of Miami, and man, I live in northern Utah now, and it is so different here. The culture is just, so I would love to get back to Miami for a weekend or a week or something like that. But what are the dates of that?
November 5th and 6th.
Oh yeah, that would work for me because I have a 7-year-old boy that I have by myself, so
okay,
I can't.
It's kid friendly. It's kid friendly. I mean, it might be more fun if he stayed home, but you know, but you know what? They put on such a great conference. But that's one of the things, we met so many people, and the networking there. Not only giving exposure to say Solnic there. But B, I am just such an advocate after going to Toronto to the blockchain conference of doing those IRL events if you can, because it just takes your networking and your relationships, putting like faces to these people I talked to for a few years and then meeting them in person. It is worth it if you can, but that's just a great one.
Thank you. I appreciate that advice. You're right. You know, even just the limitations of X, you know, and just the tunnel that we're stuck in with blinders. I feel like in X, there's so many more ways to reach people, and, you know, expanding on that, I think is vital to really growing a community.
Yeah. No, I agree. I didn't see the value until we went. So SHIRO and I will be in Miami this year again. It's their first time in Miami, but Randy, are you going to come?
It depends on what the crypto market looks like. I told people yesterday on my stream that if crypto's still down here and my alts are still down by October, I will not be going to New York Comic Con, because like $5,000 would be like in some of these tokens that could do 100+X. Like I can. So it depends if crypto is if a lot of, or most of crypto could probably be up at that point. But yeah, if a bunch of my stuff is still down, I can. I mean, and again, you don't have to spend $5,000. You could spend like maybe 1,500, plane tickets, hotel, whatever, and you don't have to go crazy. But when I'm on vacation, I want to go on vacation. I want to go hard.
I hear you.
So
well, keep that one in your ear. It's in November. They have their page on X too and announcements, but I feel like for at least Solnic and Sharby and kind of that circle, it's a really good networking event as well, and just kind of rubbing shoulders, meeting people, and the face behind PFPs, and it's fun, and people come from all over the world. So
yeah, anyway, maybe I can figure something out. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll look into it.
Okay, that's all I have for today. If anyone else has anything.
We good. Get that bread, everybody. Don't let the markets tear you down. Well, go out and touch some grass. I love you all. Bye, guys. Meow, meow, meow.